This one, I expect to see a very quick round, with Surreal even getting naded down to 7 HP before even spotting out anybody. It should be a very simple affair with a C4 dropping in the open.
Good money being made here as well, most importantly. It's those SMGs doing the damage. Crucial will actually bag himself a kill though, so at least there's that. I don't imagine he'll be in for much more here. This should be that sweet 3-0. The perfect start, of course, for the Illuminar side.
Very swift stuff again with the SMGs. 3 of those 5 frags found with the MP9s. Puts Veggie on to over $6,000 before he trades up to the M4A4. The opportunity for Snacks to get out that AWP. I'm interested to see what he actually brings to the table today. Remember that Illuminar, even though they're, I guess they're the short underdogs coming into this one, bags and bangs, just tons of experience on this particular roster. You don't even need to talk about Snacks' experience, to be perfectly honest. But even when you go down the roster to PHR and Veggie, both players with, yeah, lots of experience, lots of years behind them here in Counter-Strike. Very quick openings towards the B-bomb site here in the initial rifle round, just utilizing those AK-47s. A nice tight entry pack, and not really much that Illuminar could do. All 3 of those frags pretty much came in unison. And there's the finisher. In homage to our sponsors TikTok, that round took about 30 seconds.
That's what Endpoint want though, right? A speedy start into this matchup. It's 1 on the board, and now with all the trimming still to play with, that full AK, full utility and whatnot, they're hoping for a second as well. The tactic, of course, going to be fairly standard for Endpoint so far. 3 players down towards Ivy, 1 towards upper B, and the remaining 5th player just going to be there to watch for ladder as well as ramp control, I'd imagine.
We don't often touch on serious subjects in Counter-Strike broadcasts, do we, Flakes? But if you want to know what all of this tournament is about, it's about the whole Belarus situation. There's a link out in the Twitch chat as well if you want to check out what the guys over at Fantasy Expo are doing to raise money for charity here today. And yeah, I definitely recommend that you go and check that one out.
Yeah, definitely, I think an important topic. A nice way to use Counter-Strike as a force for good. Of course, we would love watching it and we love seeing competitive play, but nice it's to spread a more positive message, I think. Try and solve a few problems that are occurring in the world right now. Certainly a bit of a crazy time, isn't it, to be alive? COVID and everything else. There are a lot of things going on that make it, unfortunately, quite a cruel place to be, but hopefully we can use this event today as a nice way to put a smile on people's faces, but most importantly, raise some money as well for a good cause.
I think that's what's important, right? Counter-Strike's such a vehicle watched by millions and millions of people all over the world. We've got to use it for good. Very interesting round from Endpoint. Not really doing anything in the first 1 minute 30 here, and finally pouring into the B-bomb site to be completely extinguished by the triple CT defense. You see how much map control Reitz had actually taken with that MP9, getting all the way inside of A main, absolutely knowing what was going on for Endpoint. That's an easy 4th on the board. More importantly, no damage dealt to Illuminar. They've got 5 players alive, minimal reinvestments here into number 6. You'll see all of that utility repurchased, but no rifles, of course. Reitz happy to keep alive the MP9. Not really the worst weapon, especially at close range. If he's playing it towards a main, Pop Dog could be very nicely utilized. And I also like these nades into a main at the very start of these rounds for Illuminar. They're really, stunting Endpoint back. You see that incendiary grenade as well, forcing Crucial back up towards the brown halls from Pop Dog. There's certainly an opportunity there for him to find a frag. Nonetheless, he changes it up and finds Mouse at B.
Of course, in that previous round, Endpoint's whole strategy was to look for a pick. This time around, they start off with a bit of a bang, looking for an aggressive round here. The smoke just blooming. Somehow Snacks finds the kill on Flames there. That's a disaster. Does whittle the Endpoint side down to just Surreal and Crucial. He's going to go hunting, spots them out, tries to use the SMG to its full effect there, but unfortunately falls short.
Reggie's position is so powerful if they do decide to wrap back to this B bomb site. I don't think Crucial will be expecting him up into the heaven area. Luckily with that AWP coming through, they do have the AWP at the ready to try and counter this one, but one and not yet done. Brings us back into a 2v2 scenario on this B bomb site where Snax, he'll be challenged once again. Needs to stop this bomb from being planted. He's just a second too late and he even misses the shot. That's a massive mistake. Surreal's able to punish. PHR comes through. This round has fallen apart, and I can hear them talking in the chat flakes. So I'm pretty sure that he's not too happy about that one. Another missed shot. That was another easy one with the AWP. This has been quite the chaotic round thus far. And Surreal even has a Molotov to get the job done here on B. I think he's just going to toss this one over the top here. Surely should be able to prevent this defuse from coming in. As he slowly sneaks on in. As the AK-47 can't actually convert, but what a messy round, Flakes.
Yeah, I mean, that's just... You hate to see it, don't you? I mean, Veggie's in prime position, but rotates away at the final second. Gets caught by the AWP. You see the AWP shot missed on the site as well. Even when he sat there lining it up, it's just... That's how it reminds me of the rounds where you see someone with a deagle lining up the headshot, and they still then miss after spending like 5 seconds lining it up. It's just unfortunate, isn't it? It's just you don't like to see it. You see it here, in fact, reminiscent of another replay. Just a little too far to the left.
Massively unfortunate. You don't want to see Snax missing those shots, especially with a powerful opening at the start of that 6th round. Now we go into number 7, where Illuminar really do have shaky economy. They've gone for the force buy nonetheless, with a couple of MP9s in hand. These 2 M4A4s. And Endpoint, they also have a fairly wholesome buy. The buy is actually kind of matching on both squads.
See if that Mag 10 can do anything. Actually gets the dink, but Mao's still quick on the trigger. Will be there to secure the trade frag. Not even a trade, in fact. It is just that dink after all. More damage being done towards pretty much all areas of the map right now, to be honest. Endpoint just losing every duel they take right now. The only upside is they have been able to get their players out Ivy and in towards this hell area towards the left of Green Train, but smokes there blocking their path. It's going to make things a little bit tough for them to find an opportunity here as they get wrapped in from all angles. Another AWP shot missed. It becomes quite a simple Illuminar round, to be honest. Nothing really Robin can do here. He's just going to get chewed alive by these weapons.
Yeah, quite a few AWP whiffs in these first couple of rounds, both by Snax and Crucial early on. Going into round 8, it'll be another eco for Endpoint. Not really lots to invest into this one. Mighty Max yet to find a frag in the first 6 opportunities he's had. Now going into the next, shouldn't be able to do all too much with the Glock. Pretty standard defense, all things considered, for Illuminar. We did see that MP9 gesturing for a little bit of control into A main earlier, but now with the full rifles in hand, playing a much more passive defense, especially towards this A bomb site, where you can mix and match it up. Towards Electric, get a player into Pop Dog, play up close and personal with those rifles. It usually doesn't play to your advantage, especially in a round like this, where, yes, if you do play inside of Pop Dog, those even Glocks can very easily and quickly overwhelm. Should be a very simple 6-2 nonetheless.
Maybe they can try and do some damage, though. Isn't really a map that you can easily take an eco on, though, is it? You're really relying on, I think, some of those longer range Leaks to come through. Fortunately, only crucial to really find one of those. The rest of his teammates just being picked apart. That leaves just Max not looking so mighty, unfortunately. 0-7 right now.
Yeah, not the most powerful of starts. 6-2. Now another opportunity with rifles in hand. Being the single Galil for Max. Everybody else with the AK-47s and a fast run and gun stance out towards this A bomb site where PHR might be the first under challenge. He is firmly smoked off, and Snacks should be one and done here with the AWP. Instantly falls. Puts PHR into a lot of pressure right now. It gets re-smoked. This bomb can pretty easily go down. I don't think that Veggie should be able to do all too much here from the Pop Dog, especially as that Molotov hits. Should be just a standout after plant for Endpoint. I would like to see this in-game chat, Flakes.
I do think it'd be quite spicy, wouldn't it?
Observer is maybe listening to us right now. I would love to see it. I'm pretty sure, in fact, with the HUD, I'm not sure it would work.
Yeah, where would it be? It's the middle of the screen.
Yeah, just pop the chat in the middle of the screen. That's good enough for me. You know that there's a lot of personality in the server right now.
Who do you think is going to be given it the most, though? That's the question.
I'm really not sure, to be honest. I just come out with these kind of stock statements.
All talk, no substance. You heard it here first, folks.
It is true.
Cool, 6-3. Endpoint had a couple of nice early rounds, but not really much more to show for themselves just yet. They are going to be looking for more, though, especially on that T side. Let's see what the tactic will be. It's actually very reminiscent of their previous gun rounds. 3 players slowly moving up towards Ivy, remaining 2 over towards B and ladder respectively. Last time they tried this, it didn't actually bode super well for them. They were able to claw things out in the end of that one round with Veggie rotating away upper, but it's still a tough one for them to make stick here because they're relying on being given a duel, finding some of these picks. What we've seen is Illuminar don't really tend to take those fights.
No, especially with the rifles in hand, they've been playing an incredibly passive stance. Once again, just leaving Mouse towards this B bomb site on his lonesome. The one gap in this defense is no AWP from Illuminar. Commonly, it has been Snacks, Veggie in the back lines, sniping away these first and opening players, but Mouse being spotted, Flames hitting quite the swift headshots. That should give away the whole of this B bomb site. Veggie actually in a really peculiar position right now. Should instantly get traded, and that does allow the bomb to swarm down to B.
Flames in a good position here as the bomb goes down. Decides to give it up though, go back to the bomb site itself. This is where things get a bit dangerous now. They've lost that forward position, so now they're relying on their ability to actually hold on to the bomb train itself, which isn't really boding too well for them, has to be said. Robin swings into action from above, revealing his position. And that's where those smokes will begin to come through. Snack's now just going to be ready and waiting for that peak. Molly should be immediately extinguished, as Robin's left in a tight spot. Do they know where that bomb actually is, though? That is the question. Peak comes through. Robin will burn in the flames, but are they on the defuse? They are. And they are just going to make it work. But I don't think they quite realised where that bomb was planted for a second there.
Now, that's incredibly close there, Snacks. He can just hear that beeping. Finally just steps just 1 or 2 paces forward to get that defuse in, and it's another one stolen away from Endpoint. A lot of these afterplants haven't been massively successful. Even when Flames has been opening up onto that B bomb site, he's now heading the scoreboard here for Endpoint. Another chance with a fairly wholesome buy. I'd like to see Crucial actually picking up the AK-47 instead of Mighty Max early on in this one. He seems a little bit cold coming into the best of 1, and you don't have 3 whole maps to get warmed up like a big best of 3 series. It's 1 and done in a best of 1 like this. Finally does sweep away another headshot. Veggie getting massively overly aggressive through Pop Dog. It worked out for him last round, Flakes. Maybe expecting a bit of a gap in the attack. This time getting completely spanked away.
"55 seconds to work with here. Endpoint looking lively in this one as they are tucked in the 4v4. You're looking again towards Ivy. This has been their bread and butter of their T side. Really been trying to make this one stick, but unfortunately for them, losing the key piece of their split play. That means Ivy, their only piece of presence now in the round, and already begin to fall. They do secure the trade frag. That's going to be nice for Robin. The push begins to come through to the site, but there are players set up here from Illuminar to shut this one down. Endpoint up against a bit of a brick wall here, to be honest.
That's an overzealous peak from PHR. Such a powerful position from within the electric box. And Crucial finding another leaf. Snacks are 1 versus 2 to pull through. With Crucial just on this angle, he'll actually spot out the heals first. But that is quite the no-scope, leaving Robin with just half HP. The M4 retrieved, and Robin has slid right back to the Ivy position. Once again, might actually want to go for this peek here, and Snacks at the ready. Snaps back, can't actually find him. Snaps this, diffusing, and Robin's not going for the peek. Pros don't fake, Flakes. And that's an 8th round on the board, again stolen away by Illuminar. It's Snacks with back-to-back ninjas previously. Through that smoke on the B bomb site, there again, just holding away on A.
That is absolutely really. I'm hurting a bit inside here, to be honest, Squid. I'm hurting. Look at the scoreline. It's 8-3. It is very sad, isn't it? The Snack starts off with a bang again. Oh boy. Long range SMG action down Ivy. This is just not the game we came here to see, is it? I'll tell you what I love about this game as well, though, has to be said. Given that Illuminar are 8-3 up right now, the fact they've already used a single tactical pause is very interesting. Given that they're the team ahead, it shows me that every time they find a slight weakness of Endpoint or even a bit of struggle against Endpoint, you know, they have got 3 rounds after all, immediate tac pause, and from there, they get back into it again and start pushing forward. I love this crossfire too, just completely shutting them down. Must be aware of the fact by now that Endpoint love to really stack the brunt of their force in Ivy.
Well, Flakes, people have been ranting and raving about Flames on Twitter.com. Let's see if he can pull together the 1 versus 3 here with 35 seconds left. Of course, that bomb is in pretty much the worst possible position. Reggie's got this angle completely locked away. Needs to snap back to the CT angle, and Flames absolutely has his number. Lessening down to a 1 versus 2 once again. Trying to toss that flashbang outwards. And Reitz has the angle completely under lockdown. 9-3.
I too frequent Twitter.com. I am from the 1960s.
Twitter.com/SquidCS.
I tell you what though, look at this. It's another tac pause from Illuminar.
That's really interesting. I wonder if they are actually talking about Counter-Strike.
Well, either that or our admins are just confused and it's definitely Endpoint calling the tac pauses, because I was kind of looking at it as I'm looking at the stats here. And this does look at, you know, the first tac pause makes sense to me, right? You've got a good lead, you lose a round, immediately it's calling a tac pause, you get back on it again. This tac pause doesn't really make sense to me. Nothing's really, you haven't really been threatened. You're 9-3.
Maybe you just want to go and grab a biscuit.
I suppose the only thing they could be thinking about is their money. Obviously, this is kind of their last full investment. Endpoint have done a great job of really managing Illuminar's money despite being unable to link those rounds together. Definitely shows that Illuminar are here to play though, that's for sure.
I feel like the admin might have just got it wrong. I hate to throw him under the bus. He's a nice looking chap. He looks friendly. but he might have just made a tiny little mistake. At the 70-second mark, no real action taking place in the first minute of the 13th round.
You sound like Bob Ross. Oh, it's just a tiny little mistake.
It's just a little mistake, isn't it? It's not a.
Just a.
It's not
It's a
going to
happy
wreck
little
the show.
mistake.
It's not going to destroy the show. At least it's not somebody tripping over a wire, knocking down a PC, bottle of water on the keyboard. Those are big mistakes. No big mistakes made by Illuminar. They're in the 13th, surviving with every single member alive. Should give them money going into both rounds number 14 and 15 to finish off this first half. We could very easily see a 12-3 start here, Flakes, in the best of one.
Yeah, really looking pretty one-sided, to be honest, isn't it? Nothing Endpoint have been able to do really has paid off for them, just being cut down time and time again. Looking like they're going to change things up, though, which I love. No more of this Ivy bias play. Instead, looking to go for just a classic executed team. Smoke going down towards the likes of Pop Dog. Another smoke soon to follow from a bomb train, I'd imagine. And this way that push thing comes through. Veggie with a quick smoke comes out, spots the man up and above. Reitz will be there to secure the tray kill, but this actually looks very nice for Endpoint. With the Molly's back sight, gives them full control and the ability to get a bomb down as well.
Still a 3 versus 4 that Illuminar might want to go for, especially with Robin making the initial mistake. Falling into PHR's crosshair. Crucial does have the angle completely lined up. One miss in whiff with this AWP might seal the deal for this retake. And with the flashbang coming through, Crucial needs to get out of dodge and absolutely does. Still 3 players holding up the defense. Snacks just misses the shot. And now the T should be able to hold this one away with Maze falling back into the CT spawn. That'll be a 4th on the board for Endpoint. A much needed round there to try and not quite finish off this half. I think a 5 is also needed. Even being on the T side of a map like Train, which, yes, we know it's very terrorist heavy. You'd be very counter-terrorist heavy, I should say. You are looking for that 9-10 round mark here for Illuminar. They've been able to manage it. 11 would just be the cherry on top. And they've got a full rifle round pretty much. Only gap in the defense is the scout on PHR.
Let's see if they have any more of this aggressive play, though, in the tank kit. Flames looking for a peek towards B, but unfortunately for him, doesn't bode well at all. His head immediately blown off. As look at this aggression from Veggie. This man looking to serve up a special here as he gets himself fully through the A site, calling those rotations, I'd imagine, immediately from the likes of Reitz and co. As they know it has to be a B play.
He's been spotted. There's Robin finding the frag. And maybe with all of that information given to Illuminar, Endpoint, do they have to bail from this B-bomb site?
It's a tough one, isn't it? You have to send someone back, I think, to go and to sort of prod for the stack. Make sure that there is some presence towards A. Otherwise, pushing B right now would be a death wish.
As soon as Illuminar spot these nades coming over the top, surely Snacks has to also rotate this AWP through to the B-bomb site. That would be the 3rd player at the ready. PHR is also in place for a very snappy retake. And at the 20-second mark, Endpoint should just be cut at the stem on towards B. Maze finding the first frag, and it all comes in. The combination of kills, leaving Mighty Max. He was slow at the start, pulls through a couple of kills at the end, but it's not going to merit that all-important 5th round.
What a half, though, so far, has to be said. Very back and forth. Ultimately, though, I think a comfortable position for Illuminar to be in as they look to move forward here. What's the game plan going to be from Endpoint now, though? That is the question. Fairly standard, two players
to
towards
kind of
B.
include winning this pistol.
You'd like to think. Thanks for stating the obvious there, Chief. Yeah, definitely important they win that pistol given the situation, but I think looking past that, what's the actual foundation of this pistol? Well, they were, I imagine, hoping to hold the B site, but it doesn't seem to be boding well for them as Snacks is just running through right now and is killing them all. Give the man a P250 and he'll eat you alive.
That is a bit of a facepalm moment for Endpoint. They kind of have to go for this retake, but with PHR on the fast flank and Snacks not slowing down, it leaves Mighty Max versus 5. And Veggie's still on the hunt. Illuminar members all over this map, even just hunting for this kill. And it's an ace for Snacks, in fact. Not just the quad kill. All 5 for the P250.
That's ridiculous. It really is. And going back for a second to that first half, though, I just had confirmation from our admin team that it was, in fact, Illuminar calling those tactical pauses. So
I don't believe it. I still don't believe.
Assuming that's correct, on the assumption that it is correct, that's very diligent play from Illuminar. Calling the pauses at any time of some form of risk, just to talk things through. And you can see the benefit that that's given them. Obviously now 12-4 after Snacks' heroic display with the P250. They're in a really good position here to close out this best of one with ease.
Since in the main studio they do that interview at the end of the game, I'd love them to interview somebody like Snacks, would probably be the common man to get on the microphone. I'd love to hear them actually ask, right, at 9-3 up, why did you call a tactical pause? I'd love to hear about it. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely would be curious to see what the situation is there. Like that. Surreal trying to make the best of it with a deagle and does wonderfully so. Unfortunately, no support from his team means immediately traded. And from there, Illuminar can just plough forward. Of course, not really expecting much here from Endpoint. It is just these pistols. That said, they did invest into them with full, so losing this out does come with a pretty hefty cost.
The Crucial's already been spotted as well. No saves for Endpoint. Forces the full eco into round number 18. This map already looks to be on its last legs, and this is what makes a best of one so dangerous, especially on a map like Train. Very CT-sided. Illuminar, they got off to a phenomenal start. Obviously, 11-4 to close out that first half, and winning that pistol with Snacks taking the ace really might just cement this best of one. And Snacks is doing it again. He's on for his second ace of the map up against the pistols. Veggie does steal it away, but look at how aggressive, confident, no complacency for Illuminar.
See if they can really mix and stick here. Flames for the bang again. Surreal this time finding Veggie through the smoke. Illuminar may be on the cusp of closing this one out, but Endpoint definitely going to give them a run for their money here on the CT side. Already finding 3. Not really much they can do here now with just these 2 rifles in play. It's a bit early to be calling for a save though, isn't it, unfortunately?
Yeah, with a minute still on the clock, you'd be expecting them to try and take the fight against these 5 final CT members. But with the AWP chiming through means Reitz, a 1 versus 5, obviously wants to do some economical damage and not keep the money too high for Endpoint, but unable to do so. 5 survive here from Endpoint. This is exactly what they need. to stay in this best of one. And supposedly, Illuminar have taken another tactical timeout, Flakes. This one maybe makes an ounce of sense. They want to close it out early. But yeah, as you said, very diligent, very disciplined.
Curious to see what was being discussed right now. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in their team speak. Really interesting that they just have been so diligent with calling these tactical pauses. Of course, this is their third of 4, so one more remaining after the fact, and they only need 2 rounds. They're looking, of course, for the 16-5 here. Endpoint showing up to play today, but this is best of 1 single elimination. It doesn't get more brutal than this. Drop the map and your journey here is done.
And that's the cruel thing about a best of 1 format, single elimination. There are no second chances. We want to get this tournament over and done with in just 1 day. So the Illuminar, such a convincing start. They only need 2 rounds on this T side to finish. Easier said than done. Flames swinging into the open. I love that refrag from Reitz. You see him just playing the anti-flash right behind that, very just hiding behind the box. As soon as the flashbang comes through, bang, he's there with the response and an easy opening for Illuminar.
Endpoint now on a back foot here. Curious to see how they choose to respond. Looks like we might see a bit of aggression in fact come through. Crucial just peering his head through Ivy, hunting for the likes of Snack because it goes AWP on AWP. Illuminar showing us pretty clearly that it will be a B play, which leaves Surreal the man to watch.
This looks like a pretty deadly attack here, especially with those further 2 kills coming through and nobody from Endpoint looking to challenge this bomb going down. The best bet might just be to save this AWP and M4A4, even with a couple of low HP members of Illuminar. It's a bit of a double-edged sword here. Do you give away the 15-5 scoreline? Of course, there is an AK-47 now retrieved. Or do you decide to try and risk both of these rifles? I think this map might be over anyway, especially with the money riding incredibly low for Endpoint. Flames and Surreal might just be able to squeak out a buy. I guess we'll see 5 rifles in round number 21. It's all dependent on whether they can save these final 2 weapons, and that's a very weird wallbang for Stacks. It does give away his life. Very ambitious.
Is this over? That is the question. Max deciding not today, sends it full aggression straight up through ramp. Hunting for the first pick and pretty much gets it for free. No real refrag opportunity for Illuminar just yet. Looks like they're actually going to go back to B as well here. That's where Surreal could really do his magic now. There's no one checking for him. Gets another 2 for his troubles. Endpoint may well be on for a 6th round here. Not quite out for the count just yet.
And this is where they have to take the scoreline right out of their minds. Just not pretend that this is everything to play for. Just play some very disciplined Counter-Strike. Try and take 10 rounds in a row and secure one of those legendary comebacks. Probably the one that we'll think about if we look back and think about this tournament. That being said, after killing Reitz here, they'll need to take 9 on the trot to take this back to OT. Just to get this best of 1 even in contention. Remember, then they would have to win overtime, which is easier said than done, especially against the full buys of a team like Illuminar. This should be an easy round to take. I'd be expecting a full buy from Illuminar in the next round, or a full force, to say the least. With Reed spotted, he can try and fall back and save this AK-47. I don't think Robin will allow him to, though, no. 15-6.
Hanging on by a thread, that's for sure. Just how much thread is there left to play with? Endpoint definitely in a struggled position. Like you say, it got a hell of a lot of rounds they need to pick up in order to make this one work. All they can do is take it round by round, frag by frag. It is a best of one after all, so this is all to play for. Illuminar, a little bit more scrappy in this one as well. Just those 2 Deagles. Combined with, of course, the 2 AKs and the AWP. Clearly see though that Miles and co, no strangers, are getting aggressive with those pistols.
Remember, for Endpoint, this best of one could end at any second. This is a must-hit frag for Crucial. Just watching and waiting with that single AWP. This will be buys until the very end. But at the 30-second mark, very little map control taken. Endpoint don't know that this push is about to come through. And wait for the burst through both Heaven and Ramp. Miles does take the initial firefight with the Deagle. That just allows the pistol to creep closer. Surreal finds yet another. And a couple of kills as this C4 needs to now initially go down. With Snacks just holding up line. A missed shot. As Veggie wants to get aggressive in the meantime. AK-47 in hand. He's spotting out all the gun barrels and nobody's checking for him. One, but not the second to try and close this map out.
Got to be said, they've managed to keep this one rolling, haven't they? Even when it's become right to the bitter end, they have managed to keep it rolling. Not sure what they were hunting for there. The second AWP, I suppose. That said, off the basis of the fact they've been able to keep pushing forward, they've now managed to break Illuminar's economy. This should now be quite a simple 8th round, given it, I imagine, a full eco from Illuminar, and it will be. Just a couple of the Eagles coming through, nothing more. Is there a real chance here, Squid? It's hard to say. It's very early days, but the comeback seems to have some legs to it, at least.
It certainly does, and as I said earlier, Endpoint just need to take this scoreline right out of their heads. They, again, need to play very disciplined Counter-Strike to try and finish this one off. Even these rounds where Illuminar just has a couple of Deagles in hand, they can often be incredibly dangerous. Remember, this is the CT side, though, of Train. Very CT-sided, heavy map. You'd be expecting a couple of rounds in a row at least before they close this one out. But what seems to be a very convincing round once again should put Endpoint onto 8. People in the chat want me to ban the spoilers, Flakes. Do I ban them? They are fake spoilers, I will say this.
I do love a good fake spoiler. I feel like that's the thing, right, in Twitch chat with the spoilers, is they don't actually have any real information. They're just guessing. And it's pretty, it's kind of like flipping a coin. It can only go one or two ways.
Right, I'm going to spoil. 16-8.
It's an interesting bet. I suppose we'll see if that has any weight to it after all. Perhaps the full buy could be enough from Illuminar. Who knows? The smokes certainly have come through, so it will be a full investment onto the A side. With the bulk of Endpoint here, the defense is looking good as well. And it's going to become an all-out brawl as Robin's spotted up and above. Mao's the first to taste blood, though. And see, he finds Crucial. Flames does strike back. Ties things up 4 for 4. In fact, he makes it 4 for 3. See, he finds yet another. Max should be good for an easy pick here as they just walk into his crosshair. This round getting absolutely down and dirty. In the end, it leaves Reitz, one man up against 2.
Wouldn't be able to deal too much here with only 14 HP in play. 15 to 9. My fake spoiler doesn't come to fruition, Flakes, very sadly. Somebody said that they have flames on their friends list, and he did spoil, so I will... You're going to get banned. Banned. I banned that one guy.
There you go, enjoying the ban hammer. Keep it swinging. It's a good start from Max too. Opens up with a bang yet again as he finds Veggie. These pistols not even being allowed to get close.
Wow, that's a missed shot. Crucial seems to hit some of the hard ones, but missing some of the easy ones as well. As an AWPer, your job is to just have a high level of consistency, hit those easy shots. 90+% of the time, it feels like we've seen quite the quantity missing from Crucial in this specific map. And in a best of one, you really can't afford for that to happen, especially when you're the AWPer on train. You really need that level of consistency that we see from some of the best AWPers here. Guys should actually go down to Surreal's AK-47 with the smoke fully placed. That nade just whiffs. There's a re-smoke for the ramp.
I don't imagine there's really much opportunity here for Mouse, to be honest. He has to come through ramp up against an AWP that is locked in on both upper and lower, and a rifle that's there as well. Should be pretty impossible, and it will be. Nicely closed out in the end by Surreal Endpoint. Making a meaty attempt to this one, to be honest. Already up to 10. Starting to get a whole lot closer here, Squid.
Absolutely. This is, I think, 5 in a row, maybe even 6 in a row here from... No, I think it is 5 in a row from Endpoint. Just really convincingly chaining these rounds together on the CT side. They'll have a buy-up until the very end. Remember, Illuminar, they could end this at any second. Winning just one round would put this series, this whole best of one, to a close. But with Snacks instantly dropping, there's the AWP gone for the T side, and Illuminar have to go back to plan B, which might even be bomb site B here. Surreal being the solo man to try and hold this up. Illuminar actually proved me wrong. They headed back through Brown Halls right into main, and I'm getting crushed on this A bomb site.
It has to be said, the momentum's really starting to feel like it's favouring Endpoint here. Illuminar just haven't really been able to make anything stick, and with their money being ground down the way it has been, they're not even getting the tools to do so. Now it's just a bunch of Tech 9s and pistols at it again. You've got a flash and a smoke to work with, Flames already beginning to strike them down. There's the push just completely denied here. Max doing the work with the AWP as well. This is absolutely perfect. I don't think you can ask for much more here, to be honest, from Endpoint.
No, you really couldn't. Perhaps a couple more T-sided rounds would have put them very firmly in contention, because this CT side has looked very close to flawless thus far. That's even considering Illuminar did take that pistol round, the follow-up as well. It was only since Endpoint were able to get rifles in hand that they've taken this very flawless scoreline. Right now, heading towards Ivy. Mighty Max might be in for a bit of a shock versus Snacks. Instead, he hits the shot and can now backtrack to the safety of that Ivy angle with Crucial as support. The two orbs just playing back and passive on the A-bomb site. Illuminar, as a result, pretty much just forced into B. And as this Molotov dissipates, they'll be heading through. Mao's connecting the first.
Quick trade does come back, though, and creates the 3-on-3. This is the first real looking round we've seen in a little while here from Illuminar, to be honest. No real aggression either coming through from Illuminar. They just want to sit tight and pretty much hold on at this point, doing their best Hodor impression. Flames beginning to line up the molly towards center site as the peek comes through from Veggie. Nothing to come from it. That leaves just two now. Another molly towards upper as well. And with the smoke down, I wouldn't be surprised if we see an immediate defuse here come through. This is not looking nice at all here for Illuminar. Just being given no way into the site itself. Max taking down both players, in fact. Absolutely on the ball. Endpoint grinding their way back into this one as they find their 13th round.
Very disappointing from Illuminar, unable to just clamber over that finish line. And now we go 15-13. I think money in both rounds here from the Illuminar squad. That was pretty much a must-win opportunity right there. The score really starting to close. Endpoint now looking at a potential overtime if they can finish off these final two rounds. Double orb still in effect. We see, I think, another tactical timeout. Is this one from Illuminar? That's, yeah, all of their attacks gone.
I know when I was struggling to get this one done. Like you say, all out attacks and whatnot now. There's no crutches for them to lean on anymore. They're going to have to play this one right through to the end and potentially risk overtime as Endpoint are right there on the cusp of getting it done. Just 2 more rounds required and it'll be jobs are good un.
It's like a bit of a fake, though. Flames, he's going to be the first man under challenge. And as the smoke instantly goes down, hits an all-important headshot before falling away. The only man to drop as Illuminar want to plunge onto A. Double AK-47 in hand. And quite a nice angle for Reeds, I guess. Can he actually swing into this one with no AWP watching this angle? Robin, a little late to the party, does find the frag, but not before Mighty Max and Crucial both fall, leaving PHR another 1 versus 2.
At least Reeds has put him in a position where he can make it stick, though. It is a 1v2 after all, not impossible. Oh, his back's turn, though. That is unfortunate. Not even a chance to fight for it. Surreal shoots him in the back, and that's just enough to push Endpoint through to a 14th round. And most importantly, one where Illuminar will not be able to do a full buy up against them here. They are going to be buying with absolute scraps. Look at the utility right now on the Illuminar side. It's nowhere to be seen. They've just been able to scrape through 3 smokes.
No, the only way they can win a round like this is by playing a brutally aggressive setup or Endpoint making some mistakes. Unfortunately for the Poles, Endpoint have been doing nothing of the sort on the CT side. A flawless finish, and Surreal instantly chucks down that smoke. Does get traded, a 4 versus 4, as this bomb can perhaps go away. It's out in the open with Maus stood on the guard, and Veggie snacks. Oh no, they find these kills. Is this really gonna happen,
like
Flakes? It has! That's unbelievable. 16-14. Wow, okay.
Not like this Endpoint. You had me as a believer. I thought this was...
португальцев на ниже СО дела обстоят немножечко получше. Забрали EC Advanced Division 34 в финале, одолев команду Tricket eSports со счетом 3-1. Ну, более сказать про представителей Португалии нечего. Игра покажет, пока что у них 2 раунда преимущества, но это пистолетка и последующий экономический раунд. Польская пятерка. А что думают, куда же все-таки пойти? Минута времени на таймере. Можно пойти под Б и под А. Правда, уже не через улицу, судя по всему. Если, конечно, не раскинуть туда стену смоков. Чем и занимаются у нас представители Восточной Европы. Мат тем временем находится на лестнице. РМН здесь будет ему помогать. Через мейн. Если, конечно, эта помощь потребуется. Капитан команды СОМ решил ориентироваться чуть ниже. А здесь вскрытие от Дарко и Микки Мауса. Стадода смог ответить всего лишь одним убийством. Ну и все, оборона пала. Точка А открыта. И ничего с этим СО пока что поделать не могут. Да, находят по одному убийству. Здесь может, конечно, хорошее залететь, а вот лунатика в мейне не ждут. Лунатик в шаге от того, чтобы оформить первый фраг для себя в этом матче. Но Дарка говорит: хороший саппорт и лунатик. Давай-ка я сделаю фраг. 2-1. Актина Пакт размочила счет на табуляции. Быстро у нас события развиваются. То есть не откладывают долгий ящик. Ответы на вопросы, кто же станет победителем в том или ином раунде. Это не может не радовать. Напоминаю, что это 3-й четвертьфинал. У нас следующий матч будет Nemiga против команды HONORIS, или же HONORIS, кому как угодно. Потом 2 полуфинала, тоже в формате BO1, и гранд-финал в классическом формате в виде 3 карт. СО закупаются практически на последние деньги. МП-9, ФАМАС, трофейный калаш, который сохранил у нас Амар Шакор, он же Арки. Ну и более сильная сторона на карте нет. Арки проверяет рампу. Здесь пока что ожесточенного сопротивления он не встречает. Возможно, это затишье перед бурей. Не форсируют у нас события поляки. Португальцы пока что видят текстуры и не более на своих экранах. Зрительного контакта еще не было. Возможно, Минис нарушит эту тишину. Активно Пакт собирает все силы для того, чтобы ударить одним фронтом, одним кулаком по одному из поинтов. Арки по-прежнему скучно на рампах. Здесь он точно никого пока что не увидит. Ну и 40 секунд. Минута времени прошла. Поляки все-таки решаются выйти под точку А. По крайней мере, граната меня это показывает. Раскинули гранаты. Что дальше? Активно Пакт. Уходим под рампу. 30 секунд времени. Но здесь железобетонно стоят СО. Если хотели они так задергать за ниточки своих оппонентов, то у меня плохие новости для данного коллектива. 20 секунд они зажаты около радио. Интересная тактика, которая, ну, пока особо весомых дивидендов не приносит. Да, есть убийство по арке. Б-точка сейчас под контролем поляков. Тут чуть-чуть у нас не уследили представители Пиренейского полуострова. Мат врывается, делает только лишь один фраг. Ну и действительно, поэтому я комментатор, а Актина Пакт у нас профессиональные игроки. Казалось бы, что на последних таймингах там и Молотов залетел, и все играло в пользу португальцев и одного испанца. Но потом рассыпались как карточный домик представители игроков обороны. Польская пятерка начинает набирать обороты. РМН Попытается засейвить здесь ФАМАС, попытается нанести какой-то экономический урон, если предоставится возможность команде из Польши. Также, дорогие зрители, не забывайте донить и отправлять свои донаты. Флажка справа показывает, сколько было собрано денег для фонда Белорусского дома в Варшаве. В принципе, турнир благотворительный. Только благие цели преследуют.
Quite a nice early tack timeout, and that's one thing I've really appreciated today so far. Loved it in the last match. Love it in this one as well. Early tack pauses. It's good, especially in a best of one. You've got 4 of them. Use them.
Absolutely. Really important to do so. Play of the utmost seriousness at all times. Just 1 or 2 rounds in a best of one can be the difference between make or break. Especially in a series like this where, yeah, you're playing 2, maybe not the most evenly matched teams in the whole tournament, but definitely opportunities for both squads.
Got a bad little spray down there. 2 through the smoke with a FAMAS. Not every day you see that bit connecting, is it?
No, and at a very important time as well. Drops the C4, Pact obviously with a buy round against just the single rifle in the eco as well. I don't think any of those rifles are actually retrievable for Saw, but definitely puts them in good stead going into the 3 versus 5. Ooh, lots of damage.
You can hear the dinks coming through left, right and centre, can't you? But ultimately it is going to be the Saw team coming out ahead here. Minis bag himself at least 1, make that 2 to work with, but it's simply not going to be enough. Saw have the overwhelming force, and they use that to maintain the lead. Despite Pact being able to tie things up 2 for 2, they do edge things out back again ahead with a 3rd round to play with.
Again, really important to do so. We've seen some big CT sides today. Illuminar 11-4 on train just before this. All of the best of ones have been actually pretty close cut. I think we started off with a 16-11 at the start of the day, so keeping us nice firmly on schedule. This one has the opportunity to roll away from Pact if they can't do anything with his rifles here. I would probably put them as the favorites going into this particular matchup. I know that the odds out there are incredibly close. But for this one, I think that Pact probably have the experience. For Saw, it's just if they can contend with that firepower. Of course, lots and lots of experience for all 5 of the members on Pact. And a team who do seem to be playing a lot of these qualifiers right now. Lots of the online tournaments. There's betting cup tournaments as well. So certainly been putting in the man hours. And out in the open, that's a really disastrous start for Rome. And just can only find 1 in response. Stado's been completely forced and funneled back, so the bomb will go down here on the A site. Oh, man, that's such a bad round from the CTs. Such an individualistic play there on A. Nobody peeking massively coordinated, and, well, of course, they're going to lose it.
It's going to give it a good go, which I always love. You know, no point just bowing out, is it? Try and look for an exit kill or 2, see if he can maybe cut down that AWP, but unfortunately for him, no one willing to take the fight. And this is the point where now you have to start thinking, all right, drop off, walk away into spawn, and live to fight another day.
Yeah, certainly time to shine for both teams getting into round number 7 here. Rifles on both squads. Very damaging round for Saw in the 6th. Puts a bit of a shaky buy in fruition. Just the Deagle for Arky. Everybody else with
well, either an AK-47 M4 or a couple of FAMASs in play. Once again, Rome really just has to fall back to the A bomb site, unable to do so. This time it's just instead picking up all of the pieces, kills in quick combination. Leaves just Maniz looking at 4 frags. Use all 4 of these players, probably with the AWP unable to do so. There are lots of rifles on this A bomb site for Saw to try and trade up. Bit of a weird round there from Pact. I would have much preferred something a little bit slower, trying to bait out these openers, especially when you know that the Saw economy is incredibly low. That A rush really isn't favored in those sort of opportunities, especially when you're peeking into 3, 4 players. Even giving away an AWP if Saw want it, and they do.
Yeah, definitely I think always worth grabbing it, isn't it? If you can get it up or pick it up. Both scenarios pretty handy. And also, Stat is a pretty mean force when it comes to using that AWP as well. So hopefully we can see him wake up a little bit in this map and start to put that AWP to good. One thing I love about Nuke is it's one of those maps where very early on, it's just a constant barrage of utility. You just hear frags going down every 5 seconds, flashes galore. And you can see some pretty aggressive rounds like this as well, where it is just an all-out aggressive push. And it works out wonderfully. Saw will push forward and go 5-3.
That's actually what makes it so costly to play the CT side of a map like this, is you need all of those incendiary grenades in full action. 5-3, especially at this point in the game. You want that money starting to build up. Now another opportunity to do so against just the Glocks in hand. At the 1:40 mark, no real damage being dealt to these CTs. I think the break-even point is finding 1 or 2 kills, keeping that economy honest. It's easier said than done, though, against a full rifle setup. As long as Rome doesn't get too aggressive this time. Love to see just getting aggressive. Oh no, those are the 2 kills required to make this actually a fairly successful round for Pact.
Yeah, as to be said, they've really been able to do some good damage here, haven't they? I wonder if they can do much more as well. To go hunting, that's for sure. One man, a Glock and a dream.
Oh no. And unfortunately, that's actually an AWP given away.
Oh,
another frag found, and that got a little bit sketchy for a second.
That's
wow.
So painful. I'm struggling for that one, to be honest. Those are not the rounds you like to see. The Glocks coming in and getting maximum value. If I was a poker player right now, I'd be absolutely loving it. You could not ask for a better round to play out there for Pact. Despite not being able to get the victory in the end, they set themselves up in a prime position now, going into their bye round to really break Saw here.
And that's what makes a round like that with just a couple of Glocks so impactful. It forces up 4 reinvestments. This time you see the smokes going down and away. It means Ipsor just doesn't have anything in the reserve to buy into the next round. Makes this one even more important. With just a couple of kills traded back. Darko drops and lots of damage dealt to Goofy in the meantime. I like this aggressive stance from Saw. Arky, he's got full main control. Just there to swing right the way off him if needed. And they should be able to shut this one down with the crossfire. We'll see if Pact are aware that this angle can actually be in progress, and they're not. The AK finding one just there to perfectly respond, puts them back into a 2 versus 2 scenario.
It's where things get dicey now. Pact set themselves up for this. This is the round they wanted to get themselves into. One where they could really play for the win. They just have to get it over the line now. Looks like they should get themselves a bomb plant here. And kill to follow as well. That's what you like to see. Not only one, but he just charges forward for the second. Full send. And it pays off wonderfully.
Absolutely. 6-4 on the board. And again, as we were talking about, this is where the economy becomes a real issue for Sword. Losing 4 players in that 9th round now means that they're down to absolute basics in round number 11 after losing just 1. Otherwise, if they play convincingly against the Glocks, they've got another buy-up going into round number 11, and that money is still rolling, and Pact don't get the freebie, which ideally should be on the board right now. And 5 on the T side of a map like Nuke actually feels pretty good at this point. You're drawing that scoreline nice and level. Very similar stuff to that first best of one of the day. Yeah, that CT side did get ahead, but yeah, clawing the rounds back. I would say that Pact are probably short favorites in this one. Even if the odds don't necessarily agree with that, I'm surprised people are giving Sword this much of a look in. We know that they've got a lot of talent. We know that, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, Flakes, the AWP of Stad is a really interesting member. I think Mutris as well is somebody who's been on the kind of international scene for a little while now. But Pact seem to have the building blocks in place, at least for this 5th round.
Couldn't really ask for a closer competitive best of one here, could you, to be honest, especially on a map like Nuke. Question though is, Squid, that does bode from this, I'm sure people at home will be asking for it, is for Saw, are they going to be happy here going neck and neck? They're on their CT side. Are they going to be comfortable trading round for round here? Because Nuke is a map that you are expecting closer to something like a 13-2 if you go right back to the old days.
Yeah, I don't think you're looking for an absolutely lock-away CT side in this current iteration. I don't think it's as one-sided as it used to be, despite the very little changes when you actually look forward and back. 6 is certainly good enough, though, for Pact. I think for Saw, they are looking for 8, 9 rounds. If you only take 8 or 9, though, then the pistol becomes a much-needed commodity. And here with Stad holding away the angle, the bomb retrieved, and Maniz actually wants to head elsewhere with this AWP. This might actually throw Stad through the loop. How is he going to know that Maniz is going for this wide rotate?
This is a battle of absolute mind and wit. 30 seconds to work with as he makes that rotate stick, and well, he has no idea, unfortunately, Squib. Absolutely no idea. He does start to realise what's going on, but I think maybe a little too late. And he's going to get himself the freebie of a plant. From here, it's all about the after plant position now. I'd love to see Maniz's point of view. I want to see exactly how he approaches this. Face first into round. Here's him coming. And it comes down to a battle of who can hit the flick. What a way to wrap up a round that was actually looking so smart and so closely contested and much more based on mind than it was firepower. But in the end, it is just purely a case of who can hit the flick quicker.
Stag comes out on top, 7-5. This is actually a nice open door for Saw here. Winning that 2 versus 3 scenario, really awkward situation on the A bomb site, puts the scoreline back in their favor. And now where I said that 9 was probably the best bet, they pull that 12 back into contention, and now a 10-5 is possible, especially with the money at breaking point after this investment, remember, for Pact. They'll still get a buy in hand here going into round number 13. See what this looks like. I think that was another tactical timeout, actually, from Pact. So knowing that this is an opportunity to get the all-important 7, 8 rounds on the board. Exactly what you're looking for on your T side of a map like Nuke. We'll see if a pretty ragtag buy with a couple of SMGs in play, really low money for Saw once again, can actually hold up the brute force of this investment. See 5 AK-47s out for Pact once again, and this should realistically be around if they can just trade evenly. I think the one X factor is Stad's AWP outside.
Once more, it's slow and steady play here. Neither team really going for anything too wild in the early portion of the round, just keeping their cards very close to their chests here. We start to see them creep towards outside. That's where that Famus begins to strike. Already one kill in the bag as the SMG next in line, but shooting above the head rather than at the head is not the way to start the round. In the end, it becomes a bloodbath down on the A site. I love this from Anise, though. He realises things are getting a bit hot and heavy on the site itself, so drops immediately down towards B. Yes, he somewhat hangs his teammates out to dry, who are still there fighting the good fight, but ultimately he gets the bomb plant and secures the 1v1, and I think he knows exactly where Ark is going to be coming from. Here's him drop in towards Vent. This is a dead given at this point. He's got the perfect headshot angle. I love this. Maniz has played that so well. Read like a book.
Yeah, played perfectly. Here's the footsteps. Arky's stomping around upstairs. As soon as you get closer to the vents, you've got to make your move. Either giving away all of those sound cues in a weird multi-tiered map as Nuke is. It's really easy to get that information when you're playing up close and personal. Does secure a 6th round on the board for Pact and forces Saw onto this very sketchy buy going into round 14. If they lose this one, it's going to be an equally disastrous affair going into number 15 as well. And Pact have 90 seconds to make the magic happen here on this T side. A real chance to get up to that 8th round mark and actually win your T side of Nuke, which is incredibly important. This is what makes them so dangerous. Combine that with a pistol round and you're really the strong favorites in a series like this. Thatcher's completely whiffing. 2 quick kills towards ramp for Goofy. And Sitmanese just trying to hold up the firefight at this A site. He is just going to hold down the line. Easy round, all things considered, for Pact, as they will draw this scoreline level, more than likely.
Nice way to clean things up. And as you say, completely leveling out the scoreline as well. 7-7 here. I think Pact are going to be very happy with the damage they've been able to do so far. Already up to 7, of course, and looking now for the 8th as well. And fortunately for Saw, the way things have played out, they just don't have the finances to be able to get a good buy up here, to be able to muster something worth shouting about. It is just a bunch of deagles with some smokes to work with.
And that's the real issue with going with the force buy in round number 14. It just leaves you without any cash to work with whatsoever in the last round of the half. Just Eagles. It wouldn't have been a perfect buy if they had have saved, but at least a Famus here and there. A couple of SMGs, maybe even squeaking out just an M4A4. That would have been worth its weight in gold in a round like this. It means that Pact should more than likely win this half. Definitely not a done and dusted deal against armored Deagles. We know how dangerous they can often be. Especially with Stad connecting with that first 1 Deag. Very important stuff.
"45 seconds on the clock to work with" is another frag claimed Starts to bode very well here, to be honest. More frags rolling in from that AK, and he's adding to the tally. And the pistol's just not quite cutting the mustard, to be honest. And as a result, 8-7 is going to become the scoreline.
I think in homage to TikTok being the sponsor, we should have face cams for like but only for like 20 seconds of the round. It should be our face cams. We should do reactions. Maybe a bit of dancing, Flakes.
You should come up with a dance that sums up every game. I want to see like the official Squid post-match dance brought to you by TikTok.
Oh, that would be... Oh, just imagine if they had pitched that to me. It would have been disastrous.
That would be glorious and also disastrous. I'm not sure whether I want to bleach my eyes or if I'd enjoy it. I don't know.
I don't think it would be good. That's the sad thing.
Well, let's see if this pistol
Maybe
is any
those
better.
out in Twitch chat could do a little dance to sum up that first half. At SquidCS is my Twitter. Send it on
Selfless
there.
plug, of
20-second dance. And the winner might win a prize, might not. We'll decide if it's worth it. We might even play it on the stream.
Fair, if I get a good video, I'm open to that.
Yeah, me too.
But the bar's set pretty high for that.
Yeah, I want to see the Pact versus Saw dance. But max 20 seconds long. Saw have actually force bought in 3 of the last 4 rounds, Flakes. And at the start of this half, it isn't a massive problem. At the end of the first half, I think it actually definitely was. I would have preferred to see a full buy to secure that 8th round on the board. Throwing in quite the risk there, especially against a team like Pact, who haven't been standout against the rifles. But this time, just closing away these Deegs. No damage being done thus far. Esmaniz has been taken down to 53 HP, but he can just burrow himself inside of this bomb site and allow maybe Sobol to take this firefight. There is a bit of hell control for Stad, but with Sobol, reverting back and spotting out that one, they know exactly where this push is coming from here, and one deagle shot might not make the difference.
Got to be careful here if you are a Saw fan. You don't want to let them slip too far off the edge here when it comes to this second half. You have to be cognizant of their economy. Not really much they can do here, but that next round going to be critical. A full buy has to mean something, as Pact have really done a good job of building up a gap here. A bigger gap than we've seen actually all game long. I think that's why this is one is a little bit cautious for me, to be honest, as already getting 3 rounds and probably a 4th here as well. Concerned that Saw might just be starting to let this one slip. That next gun round is going to be really the deciding factor there.
Absolutely. If Saw cannot pull through this opening gun round, then we're likely going not just 11-7, but probably 12 or 13-7 in favor of Pact. A lot of these kills coming through. Luckily able to sneak in a bomb plant here. I love that planting angle to just prevent Goofy from denying that one. Gives them a little bit of extra bang for their buck going into round number 19. I'm surprised they don't delay that defuse for a couple of seconds to grab a gun for Goofy. Has to keep the MP9 as a result. I didn't actually spot if there was maybe an M4 dropped outside. Needless to say, he does invest. Lunatic picks up the SMG instead. And we see a fairly wholesome buy for Pact.
So starting this one very slowly, not really looking to test the likes of Pact CT side just yet. Just searching for any aggression that might be coming their way. That's a nice opening duel, and in fact, someone has just disappeared from the server. That's not ideal.
No, that's not ideal at all. Not a good sign for Pact, as we might be going into the murky depths of technical pauses after this. The M4A4 on the floor in front of Lunatic looks appetizing, but doesn't decide to pick it up and gets taken away anyway, wanting to keep his angle completely incognito. Nonetheless, still a 2 versus 3 scenario. Darko sweeping in for the frag, gets taken away. That should be the round over here, as Maniz should certainly look to save this AWP. And should be able to do so either towards Garage, this CT spawn. I don't want to see him to get too aggressive here, Flakes. He needs to cling on to that sniper.
Not really much else they can do. Unfortunately, with such an early pick coming through and then losing a second player, you're at a 5v3 before the round even hit 20 seconds. It's a bit of a disaster, to be honest, and I'd imagine, like you say, we are going to enter those depths of a technical pause. Classic online Counter-Strike. It wouldn't be an online Counter-Strike tournament without one. Something always goes wrong. Is it the keyboard? Is it the mouse? Maybe the headset's decided to stop working. Who knows? Anything's possible.
Online CS is very often plagued with issues like this. We always talk about it. I don't think Pact are going to be happy playing this one 4 versus 5, so they will take the tech.
Yeah, no, definitely a smart tactical. Of course, a pretty key point in the game, to be honest, isn't it? Pact still have that gap, but it can quite quickly fall away. They aren't on the ball in these couple of upcoming rounds, especially given that their money's a bit all over the place, isn't it? You've got Maniz and Co on around 3k. Then you've got Darko 6,700, so he's Mr. Millionaire in the grand scheme of things. Not quite sure what the money is on their mysterious 5th man, but hopefully when he joins back in the server, we can find out.
I've seen a variety of weird technical pauses in the past. I've seen a player actually rage quit the server before, Flakes. I'm pretty sure that the team disbanded shortly after that. That was in an Australian match. They just left. They just picked up. The game wasn't over. They just picked up their suitcase, walked right out of the room, turned off their PC, just console quit. That was one of the funkier ones. Needless to say, our admin team have told us that we're back, so the next minute or so, we should be getting into this one, and with everybody back in the server, we'll now watch some Counter-Strike.
There we go. Looks like the money is definitely not in the greatest of positions, but we are going to see a couple of drops get flung around, and that will mean that Pact can put something together. I'm expecting 4 rifles and an SMG here. In fact, we don't even need the SMG because he's got an AWP on the floor. Happy days. They've actually done a lot better there with that money. Goofy really has carried. Or Darko, sorry, he's moved down a spot now, back to 8th, of course. Really has carried a huge chunk of that buy, actually, with that 6.7k. Really maximising the value. Spent every single dollar of it, leaving himself only with 100 in the bank.
The CT side sugar daddy might actually pan out here with Goofy finding that initial frag. It does get traded up by the Molotov, and this is where Saw really needs to come alive, Flakes. Out towards ramp room, Darko shouldn't really know that this one's coming in, and Oh, just throws the nade through with helping of damage. Goofy finds another one as Saw, they're forced into this A bomb site, but Sobol's got the angle completely under guard. Goofy's the next man in line. They'll go for the peak instead of swinging backwards, leaving just Darko a 1 versus 1 to achieve. And I think he's read this one perfectly. Straight down to the B bomb site. Now we'll spot the smoke as he can creep incredibly close. I can't imagine Stad will have any idea that this is coming through. Instead, the smoke actually bails him out of a lot of trouble, and Darko needs to make some noise to bounce back and rebound into this B site. I think he might actually wait for this smoke to dissipate first. Instead, there's one of his own, spots that door, and might just hold his defuse for the full 10 seconds. This is incredibly long. Stad's coming in for the shot, and actually finds it. That's really unfortunate there for Darko. 11-9, as Saw might not be done in this series yet.
Yeah, definitely not going to go down without a fight. And they get the added benefit of obviously having all of that time to talk. And that's kind of the double-edged sword with a technical issue, isn't it? If you're the team affected, you don't really have that focus to really start talking and thinking ahead. If anything, it can be quite frustrating if you're the winning team, especially. When on the flip side, Saw, you've got 5 players there going, we just want to play some Counter-Strike. And they can use that to start really thinking about what their problems are. Basically use it as one big tactical pause that they're getting for free. So a little bit of value there found actually for the Saw side, and they used that to open up with a bang in round 20. Now at 9-11, this one is still very much all for the taking. Only 2 rounds the difference. This could potentially get really interesting.
So reading through the charity page, Flakes, I learned a couple of things. On September 15th, we celebrate the International Day of Democracy. They say, as an act of solidarity, we'll be playing the Play for Belarus tournament. And September 21st, which is today, is the International Day of Peace.
Nice little factoid for the day there. Would be nice to bring a bit of world peace, wouldn't it? Nowadays, everything going on. COVID and everything else. Almost the new normal, isn't it? Read a very daunting stat today. They reckon that in the UK, we could be getting up to 50,000 cases a day for COVID in the next 6 months.
That's a sunny prediction.
Yeah, so very, very doom and gloom. So knock on wood, we can stick to the positive trend of getting out of lockdown and into recovery, rather than down and out. But of course, lots of causes worthy of your support, and what we're here for today, as you mentioned, is the Play for Belarus. There's lots of situations ongoing out there, so the charity, of course, raising some money to be able to support that cause and support those in need. We've raised 51,000 zloty so far, a target of 300,000. We're 17% of the way there, folks. Do get involved if you can help us move that needle any further. The tiniest little bit helps.
This is an A take. Quick kills going both ways, and Darko holds it up really nicely there. I actually really like that defense from Pact. Very quickly plunging the numbers there onto the A bomb site. All 5 players helping out, and that's exactly what you have to do to thwart one of those A rushes. You actually saw actually finding a lot of those opening picks, 3 in fact, before Darko's able to just swing back in and apply the pressure. Finding only 2 or 3 kills there on the A bomb site is actually the easier part. Cleaning away the last couple of members is always incredibly difficult. And if your rotate isn't snappy enough on that CT side, that bomb very easily goes down. You get forced into a really tough, tricky retake scenario. And now Pact can start to solidify that lead on the CT side. See another tactical pause before we get back into the action here. 12-10. And this is where Pact could perhaps get on to 13 and start to close this one out. They are on the road to victory, this being their counter-terrorist side. Bit of a sketchy buy for Saw. They have got the MAC-10 in hand for Stad, prioritizing those pieces of utility. The smoke, HE, he's got a full buffet of nades on the T side. Can't really say the same for Pact. Lots of those incendiary grenades have already been thrown. Get wasted at the start of this 23rd round. Only the 1 incend in hand for Lunatic. who's had a very quiet game here, Flakes. 4 kills, 15 deaths. He's been beaten around ever so slightly here on Nuke. We would like to see him get back into the action for the last couple of rounds here.
Outside control, once again, the key tail here. All this T side, just sending that single AK out to really try and just do some damage, try and get in through Hut. Unfortunately, this time, Nomura is able to break through, instead shut down by Lunatic, who sat ready and waiting. Manish strikes back with the AWP as well, and this bodes well for Pact. It puts them in a really good position now. They do get traded out by Stad as that Mac 10 gets close, but it's still a 4v2. Even with the bomb going down on B, Pact are in a good spot here to actually make a pretty solid attempt at a retake. They've got all the rifles, all the weaponry, and they've got a bit of utility as well to support them.
And with Goofy finding that initial kill, this is all going to fall apart for the T's. A 13th round solidified. 4 players alive for Pact once again. That money starting to boulder upwards again, up to the $3,000-4,000 mark. And we'll see, I think, another tactical timeout coming from Saw before we get into the action for the 24th time here on Nuke. Just a short, brief intermission. Just the pistols in hand getting into this one. This is a very sketchy situation. Just the pistols in hand, a force buy around the Galil and AK-47. And Pact definitely holding all the cards on this CT side. They've won the lion's share of these initial rounds. Now just looking to close this one away. Trying to thwart this A push once again. You can already see Lunatic just diving his way into this A bomb site. Minis finding a frag in the meantime right through the corner of those smokes. I think Saw being fairly open about that scenario, getting down onto B. That was actually some damage. That's a wallbang you don't often see.
As expected, though, they do clean things up in the end. That will, of course, move their needle 1 round closer to a Pact victory here. They do get themselves a kill, at least, and trying to hold things off, but at the end of the day, in a 4v2 there, with the flash in play as well, it's always going to be bloody hard to hold on to that.
Yeah, this is where things get really touch and go. Now we see the tactical timeout. I might have called it a little bit early, Flakes. I've been complaining about the people spoiling in chat, and then I spoil myself. How unprofessional. This is really boom or bust for Saw. Their way back into this one, it's either 5 out of the next 6. If they want to win it in regulation, it needs to be all 6 in a row. Up against the rifles here of Pact. And again, with that money building up, I think this has to be 2 buy rounds in a row at least. And just, yeah, a real touch and go situation. The Mac 10 up close is able to sweep Lunatic out of the server as the kills do come through on the A bomb site. Now a bit of a dilemma for Pact, as they have initially spotted out this information. Bomb will easily go down. Oh, that's a nice incendiary grenade. Working off that information perfectly. Don't think Goofy has a option to get back up to the A bomb site here. Maybe saving's the best bet.
I think that's all you really can do, unfortunately. That's the one thing about Nuke is if a T-side gets embedded into a site like that with 4, if not even 5 players still standing, and you've got, what, flashbangs and a single smoke to your name and 3 players, it goes one of 2 ways. You're either going to have to go into an all-out brawl and still likely lose the round in the end, or you're just going to immediately die. But the odds of you actually taking the round there are extremely slim. So I like the save. Their money is pretty bleak as well. So saving here actually puts them in a huge position now to think about, again, trying to close this one out. So a sensible decision there from Pact all around. Now they can get the full buy up. They can still look to 15. And the gap is still 3 rounds. So they still have a good chunk of rounds to play with.
Yeah, just sticking to your advantages on the CT side is a massively important factor here, especially on a map like Nuke, which is incredibly CT-sided. You want to play as many rifle rounds as possible, and as you said, Flakes, this is another opportunity to get the big guns out, all of that utility as well, try and slow away this comeback before it comes away down the tracks. Still a 3-round advantage here for Pact getting into the last couple. AK-47s in the single M4A4 in hand for Team Saw. But once again, they need those openings. I don't know if the fast run and gun style will work, especially with Goofy holding down the line. 2 quick kills. Lunatic falls in the meantime. He seems to be the weak link for Pact here on Nuke. A couple of key mistakes he's made. Has given Saw a chance into this one. But still, a 4 versus 3 scenario. The AWP, despite being taken down to 40 points of health, still roaming outside. And at the 80-second mark, Saw deprived of any map control they initially merited. And even being spotted out towards the ramp room as well. So maybe having to fall back, go to plan B, which might happen to be this A bomb site.
That's where Muterus is in position now. Starts to peek on around. Love the fact that someone's changed their name to Mickey Mouse. Maybe laugh all map long.
That's Mr. Goofy.
Let's see if he can put on a bit of a show here. Unfortunately, nothing to be found by Muterus, and instead, they do focus on the smarter decision, plant the bomb. From there, Goofy does fall, unfortunately. And that leads us in a 3-on-3. Perfectly even, but the retake definitely on Darko. Going to be the man that leads the charge. The tip of the spear here for the CT side. Arky in a tough position. But he makes it stick, catching already 1 on the drop down. This is looking better and better. That bomb really starting to tick away through as well. Running out of ammo with the AK, not ideal, but gets the repeak off. I mean, if that doesn't say it's a round for Saw, I don't know what else does.
No, really messy stuff for Pact there in the retake. Seemed a little bit disjointed heading into that B bomb site, and Saw just holding down all of the lines. Keeping Arky alive on such little HP there means the AWP once again has to bail back towards the CT spawn. And 14-12 being the results. And with very low money on Pact, this has the opportunity for another very close best of one. We sometimes criticize best of ones for being very inconsistent. They definitely are. They don't have the same sort of variety that a best of 3 offers. You want to get multiple maps in. I think this would have been a very interesting best of 3 if we had the opportunity to see it. Meniz is the solo rifler here on the CT side, and Saw seemingly want to walk right into his scope. That would be a massive mistake here. We can see that.
Just over a minute to work with, and Pact unfortunately really struggling again. Meniz chimes back for a quick trade amongst all of the pain. Somehow gets a kill on Arky. Hold on a second. How has he landed that shot with the AWP that sort of close range? That has got to be just a reflex. Press mouse 1 and pray.
It's revenge best served with the big green gun flakes. We actually saw it earlier with a stat up close and personal, hitting a no-scope in the 1 versus 1. This time it's Pact's time to shine. And now they've got 3 opportunities to close this series out. Stat does find the opening kill, but with the AWP at the ready, Meniz needs to be hyper aware that that red box is in contention, and Saw seemingly everywhere outside means Meniz, he's in a spot of bother. Now back down towards Secret. Saw with lots and lots of map control. This one's all falling apart. We might be going the absolute distance here on Nuke.
I love this from Uterus again. He's done this in previous rounds, and it's pretty much paid off nearly every time. Just out lurking, seeing what he can find. And what opportunities could come his way. Just have to be careful not to overextend, where he could be caught off guard. But now, though, in a relatively safe position. Stab, meanwhile, potentially going to get caught, and so he will. Just looking kind of a little bit off in nowhere. With Muterus then just being caught out by Darko, things start to fall away. Pact right on the cusp of getting the job done as Just, well, seemingly just can't hit a bullet. Finally gets himself a frag on towards Lunatic, but is it too little too late? There's 20 seconds or so on the clock to play with. He's actually just smoked himself off. He's looking for the B site. Problem is that he has to sprint every step of the way. Those steps are going to be heard. They'll immediately have to drop through vent. He can go for a plant, but the time it's going to take him to plant already gets them rotated on towards B. You will get it through, but this should be fairly transparent here for Pact, to be honest. They should know with him closing the door that there's only one or two places you can go. Back up to ramp or underneath railing.
Oh.
Lovely one tap, though. That's a good way to start the show. Now they know exactly what's coming. They force him to get aggressive. He's holding the headshot angle, and he makes it stick. That is disgusting. I have no way. I don't know how he's made it work, but credit to him. That is a round that his opponents have all the information. They have all of the information. And he wins it on pure aim in the end.
That is incredibly impressive right there. 1 versus 3 to keep Saw not just in the map, but in the tournament. Remember, this is a best of 1 single elimination bracket. And every single round from here on out of the utmost importance. And we can see it, Flakes. Pact will not get a full buy from start to finish here in these final 2 rounds. They've gone for the Force, the AWP, double M4, double Desert Eagle in hand. Really not all too much to work with. The utility being a real issue here with Goofy, nothing to play with. Sobol, only 1 smoke. Lunatic, not even that. Let's see if Minis can get the job done with the AWP beside the ramp. This is the shot, and there's the engagement. The first player falls, and now real gaps in this defense. As Pact are falling on all accounts, this is really looking like a potential overtime here.
It has all the makings of it, doesn't it? That, or we could be seeing a recap of the Endpoint game earlier today. That's still ringing in my ears. They do all the work to get it so close to OT, and they fall at the final hurdle. The major upside here is that, unlike that match, Pact will not have the weaponry to go into this one.
No, they'll have practically nothing. The single rifle that's pretty much guaranteed at this point should be Darko's M4A4, but he's unable to even slip into the brunt of this T spawn. So with Saw challenging in the first 20 seconds of this retake, I'm actually surprised that they don't hunt towards these spawn areas. You've finally got Just pressuring down, being spotted out. Darko, he's got about 5 to 10 seconds to survive, and with Just creeping closer, needs to connect just 1 shot. Darko will get away with it. That keeps a single M4A4 in hand going into round number 30. And what will the investment look like? 2 M4s, I think the rest maybe onto just pistols. This really does suck for the CTs, as they'll want to close this one out early, sooner rather than later, but don't really fancy their chances going into round number 30. This buy is almost as bad as you can possibly get.
Yeah, it doesn't really get much worse than this, does it? Unfortunately, they do get the second rifle at least. That is their bare minimum, but they're looking for a hero play, and one of those rifles has already fallen to the age-old wallbang of Nuke. That's a disaster. That really is. Second rifle now hit the deck. Goofy has picked up the M4 here, so maybe he can deliver, whereas teammates couldn't, as the 5-7 looks to go wild. Not today. I think this is going to be going to OT. I don't really see a way that Pact can make this one work. It's all fallen away from them. They've managed this game right to the bitter end, and they've fallen at the final hurdle.
At least we'll get to see the overtime rules. Is it 10k, 16k? I'm not really sure, but seems to be going there either way here. Just Goofy to try and hold up the retake, and it's never going to happen. Lunatic now 1 versus 5. Wouldn't this be a turnaround to prevent overtime here? As the score sits 14-15, I'm pretty sure he's just going to get sprayed away as all of the information has been given and granted. There's the headshot to secure it. We'll go to bonus rounds here in the best of 1 flakes, going the absolute distance.
That's what we like to see, isn't it? Especially in a format like this, where it is a cutthroat single elimination format. We want to see teams fighting it tooth and nail to progress, because at the end of the day, lose this game, your journey here is done. It's only a best of 3 in the grand finale. Prior to that, best of 1s the entire way, and single elim, of course, the entire way as well. So it really is as brutal as it seems. And that's why each map is so damn important.
I don't particularly know who this favors here. I guess Saw, but with only $10,000 on the board here for both squads, you would be expecting a slightly more T-sided affair. That's what you would otherwise see. But realistically here, it means if you lose 2 of these rounds on the CT side, you cannot buy into the third. And that 3-0 scoreline becomes much more plausible, especially with that first frag coming through. Darko needs to hold down the angle. 2 quick kills, desperately needing a third. I think he's done an appropriate amount of damage, especially with the M4 just holding up the line.
I love that as well. Get aggressive with the AK ramp, force it full circle to the 1-on-2, and how Goofy to have no choice but to fully send it to the site itself. And the minute he has to do that, he's running around like a headless chicken almost. That aggression really makes it for me there. I love it. Just fully getting up into a ramp, getting up into their face. They don't expect it. They expected them to be sat back. And I think that's the thing here for me for Pact. I think they're expecting an opponent who's going to be a little bit more on the passive side of things, which they were when the game started. But as things have played out, we've seen more and more aggression come through.
Yeah, that's the big change of pace that both teams have actually quite nicely adapted to, especially Saw. I think the change in that momentum after the 1 versus 3 that we saw actually in round number 12, it's, yeah, just a really tough matchup here for Pact. I'm surprised that they completely fell to sleep there going into rounds number 13, 14, and 15. And now in overtime, this is a make or break point for the CT side. If Saw get an early bomb plant here, Pact are almost forced to save as well. We'll see all of the bank get purchased through here in round number 2. Is this a technical pause, though? We don't see the timer at the top. Yes. This is a very short tech, I've been led to believe.
Oh, we're already going live, so there is good news.
Ooh.
Taking this opportunity, though, to remind you folks at home why we are here. Of course, we're all here today to play for Belarus, supporting a charity and supporting a cause that is close, I think, to everyone's hearts who is here putting on this event today. And we'd love for you guys to help us in supporting them via getting involved and, of course, donating what you can. We're, of course, targeting 300,000 zloty today, which I believe, Squid, you mentioned earlier on, was around 12,500 USD, and we are already 17% of the way there. We'd love to move that needle and get us even a couple percent closer. Every little bit helps. So if you've got 10 zloty spare, if you've got 40 zloty spare, we're all for it. We'd appreciate it. Any support you guys can give.
I'm gonna start doing dares on the stream. If you donate 50 zloty with proof in the chat, I will do whatever you want. Not whatever. There are limitations to this one. I'll give you a shout out. I'll give you a shout out for 50 zloty. Flakes will cast a round in a French accent for 250 zloty.
Je suis Counter-Strike.
They haven't donated yet. You gotta wait for it.
I'm just teasing. It's just a tease.
Oh, that's a tease, yeah. I know all Counter-Strike fans like a little tease.
Oh boy.
I know. Haven't you been to LAN? 16-15. Let's get back into this overtime bout as Pact looking to hold up a defense one more time to draw the scoreline level. We really need to do so sooner rather than later. And with Arky bursting through onto the B bomb site, I'm sure this will be heading down to vents. I'm sure Pact must have the information that they're heading downstairs instead. With nobody spotted out, Sobol, Goofy, all holding down the line, and Arky is completely locked out of place. That's not what you want to see when you've got full B site control.
Already tied up yet again. This has been the tale of this match, really, isn't it? Neither team able to quite best one another. We're already at 16-16 yet again.
This is the all-important round that'll determine the pace going into this second half of OT here. With kills traded through, the A bomb site seems to be the target once again. Another 3 versus 3 situation and a retake that Pact absolutely have to go for. It being the last round of the first half of OT. Just trying to clamp in, and Darko's in a key position. Albeit Flakes, the flank is being flanked. He gets taken away. Rome has the angle fully in place, and Maniz, he's just got so many different angles to watch. And with an AWP to do so, this is not the best weapon for the job, nonetheless. That's the opening shot. Now a 2 versus 2 once again. Sobel with a nade right over the top. Doesn't actually take Muteris out. And he's up close and personal, does get taken away. Final bullet from Rome to put 2 rounds on the T side on the board for Saw.
This puts them, I think, in a perfect position now to try and move for the victory here. They had a very great start, I think, in regulation time. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to claim a very decisive first half, and also in the second half of things, they found themselves, I think, found their feet a little too late. Now we're in OT. They start with the advantage. I think this is moving their way. Just looking for 19. That's the goal, of course. 19 rounds. See what Saw can do on their CT side.
That's a big difference maker. You'd assume with this much cash in hand, Nuke especially would be incredibly CT-sided. How often do we see those triple round lockdowns on the CT side of a map like this? Fairly often, I would say. And with Saw not really playing too aggressive whatsoever, you see Arky right at the back of the ramp room. Nobody playing all too aggressively. The double AWP setup coming to fruition. This is a really tough hole to breach and break, especially with these aggressive smokes. If you decide to plunge down to secret, there's every opportunity the Orc can still find you right over the top of those clouds. With 45 seconds left, here comes the push. Just needs to fall back into a more passive position. They've spotted out Arky, but his job, Flakes, is just to find one frag there on the B-bomb site and bail back and away. Not give away that opening and advantage to Pact.
It's 2 kills as well, which is pretty savage for a T-side, to be honest. And then they double down even further, taking Lunatic as a third. 4th comes through from the AWP. I said this is going to be a sore show once they took the lead, and it continues to be the case. Up to 18 now. One more round is all they require.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for Pact. I feel like that 1 versus 3 that we saw actually at the end of that second half was the big change of pace here. Not just shutting down Pact's confidence, but giving Saw a second wind, a new leash of life, and taking it onto this CT side with the double AWP. That's exactly what you need. You see Mutris just outside, jumping, barreling about, watching for any of those aggressive stanced Ts. He's not going to spot anybody this time with a 3-2 split through ramp, room, and main, waiting for anybody from Saw getting too aggressive, maybe getting a little too overzealous and overconfident. But here at the 75-second mark, Saw again playing an incredibly passive defense, giving Pact nothing to work with. Both teams are going to have money going into round number 36 if needed, if we get there. Looks like this might actually set up to be the A push, especially with Darko going onto the T roof, setting up for those nades. I'm sure they'll be throwing them over the top in the next couple of seconds and wait for these Ts to barrel onwards.
Really running the clock down here, aren't they? 20 seconds remain. Those Molotovs going to be problematic. Pact trying to find their way in, but these AWPs now, it's just like a shooting gallery. They're just being cut down. Nothing works at all. 19-16. What a result for Saw. I think they've really controlled the tail end of that overtime.
Absolutely. Really impressive stuff. I was not expecting Saw to take this best of one, but they do. They knock Pact out of this tournament. And they solidified their spot in that second semi-final. Remember, Flakes, we've got to find our second set of semi-finalists here. It's HONORIS versus Nemiga coming up next.
Yeah, really looking forward to diving into that one. Of course, that is our final quarter-final of the day, as you've mentioned, and that allows us to jump then face first into our semis. We're kicking things off in the semi-finals, of course, a Sprout versus... Second and final quarter-final matchup, I believe. Only one team, of course, can progress through into that semi-final. Who will it be, Squid? Answer the $25,000 question.
It absolutely is. I feel like Nemiga here are incredibly favoured, and that's exactly why. It's the pistol power of Box to get this series started. Remember, just the best of one. No best of three shenanigans here today, Flakes, until we get to that grand final later on. And we've already found 3 of our semi-finals. This is our 4th, last quarterfinal. We're blasting through the day here for the play for Belarus. Now all we've got to do is get rid of HONORIS, and then we can get into the semis.
That's pretty cutthroat. I mean, you think it's
No,
going to
I'm
be that
only
easy?
joking. No, I'm only joking. They're quite a fiery team. They're very hot and cold, very on and off, very streaky, I would say. But against a team like Nemiga, you already see this pistol round just being completely dismantled. Not a single frag found thus far. And Speed, we can't actually connect, but Lollipop will. 1-0.
I do have to say, on paper, Nemiga should absolutely batter HONORIS, shouldn't they? Unfortunately, that is the result that we would be expecting to see. I think the odds reflect a good story for that as well. It's approximately 1-4, to put it in perspective, so pretty cleanly favouring the Nemiga side.
Yeah, absolutely. And right here should be a very simple second round. I like the fact that HONORIS actually go for the save instead of getting caught in a harsh force buy scenario, not getting the bomb down there. Doesn't give them much money to work with whatsoever. And it's just down to this FAMAS to really dismantle the unarmored pistols. Only the single man remaining, and it's not going to happen whatsoever for HONORIS. Dropping only an MP9 there for the CT side, keeping all of those rifles alive, the lion's share of that investment in play as we go into the first rifle round.
Nice little aggressive molly down mid. That will slow down the advances. Is Speedek going to be in position here to try and do some damage with the SMG? No real aggressive positioning though at all here, really. From this HONORIS side, they're just playing quite passively up mid, and I wonder if they're actually watching Banana at all. Bear in mind, Box & Co have been able to wander down through the edge of the smoke. Made a fair bit of noise. They should be aware that aggression has been made, but I don't think they're really checking for it right now. It's just very passive play from HONORIS, finally making some moves up towards A, but this is fairly telegraphed so far, to be honest.
Yeah, unfortunately, giving away all of that prime information, backtracking to B might be the way to go against JYO, who does throw away that incendiary grenade, buys the rotate a little bit of time, and just halts HONORIS away from that B bomb site for a couple of moments. I think the best play there is maybe you can smoke, run and gun that Molotov, then you really have to push through completely blind. And if there is somebody holding towards the top of banana, which is a slightly slim opportunity there, you pretty much get cut away. It's quite a hard take, quite a hard sell towards that B bomb site. So back to A, and they've already been spotted up by Lollipop, who takes that initial angle. The flashbang doesn't connect, and that allows the AKs closer.
It gets even worse as well with that AK striking on towards speed. It means only the pit player remains to really do some damage. He's good for one, but that will be all. The trade's coming through thick and fast here as HONORIS find themselves on towards the A site, and with no real retake in play here for Nemiga, to be honest. Both Box and Jo probably have to start thinking about saving here as they're in a 2v4, it's the A site, the bomb's down on the site itself, they have pit control, they have apps control, they have the round.
Yeah, this is completely lock and key here at the end of round 3. And for Nemiga, they are just looking to save these final 2 rifles. Box is a bit of a Nico lookalike. I wish we could get a camera back on him. Have a look. He looks a bit like him. He's got the same hairstyle rocking there. There we go. If you saw enough land flakes, would you do a double take?
What was that? I had to double take that question.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Oh. It's not Nico.
I mean, I honestly have no idea what you've just said, so I'll let you run with that.
You don't think Box looks a bit like Nico with the little hairstyle and everything?
Dude, just because someone has the same haircut doesn't mean they look like someone.
He's got the same skin tone.
That is the most basic profile I've ever heard. He matches the same skin tone, and he's got the same haircut. Therefore, they must be the same person.
I'd just say they look a little bit similar.
Well, there you have it, folks. Cast your votes in the chat. Do they look anything like each other?
Let's get the chat involved. I like this. Does anybody out there in the wild world of Twitch think that Box looks like Nico? No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Pretty clean cut, to be honest. He doesn't.
One guy does. All right, okay. I'm gonna.
That's pretty much, I think, sums up the situation.
I'm gifting that guy a tier 3 sub.
Well, one thing's for sure, the Nico lookalike, as you called him, not had the greatest of starts here.
Unfortunately not. And with only
That's
20
much better,
seconds
though.
left on the
Spear
board.
is just killing it in pit. Absolutely killing it. Relocates as well. He's played that so perfectly. Picks up a triple kill in the end there.
Yeah, that warbang doing so much more damage as well. Just bonusing there for Nemiga. And HONORIS kept in an arm's length away from that A bomb site. Really successful stuff for the CT-sided defense there. Towards the pointy letter, 3-1, forcing HONORIS back onto the pistols. Unfortunately for HONORIS, I think this is something that we have to point out. It's the first time I've casted them since since Stomp actually has dropped from this roster. He actually left on his own accord, citing I think a couple of maybe internal issues. Stomp was maybe for me the most talented player on that roster. So personally, I think his flashy AWPing is something they are going to go amiss. And here today, well, we do see a bit of a new look roster pretty much in its entirety as well, with the exception of Neo and Taz, who are the 2 big names to watch out for. Yeah, we see some newer players who we don't even really know too much about. Even when you look at the Polish scene, I think that maybe Raiko was somebody who might have been on your radar from before, but not somebody who you would maybe look to headline or spear the next great Polish team, perhaps. I think the thing about Poland is they do actually have a wealth of talent. It's just getting all of those building blocks in place and actually activating it in a tournament like this. It's been a big problem recently. We've just lost Pact. Illuminar did sneak through and slip into the semis. We'll see with a minute left if HONORIS can sneak into this B bomb site.
Seems to be the strategy, doesn't it? Get on towards B, look for that plant, but they do have 2 players to contend with, and a Molotov slow them down even further as JO's thinking, boys, you know what? I'm going to pick this. Frag grenade to go out. Does some good damage. Secures the trade frag. He's loving it. He absolutely is loving it there. Has to go back, of course, to grab the bomb, so that will pretty much force the push. JO edging around through the corner of the smoke here. Has to be so careful. I'd like to see him, honestly, get up on top of those yellow boxes, but you know what? Screw it. He's going to get even more aggressive again. How has he got 2 kills? How has that worked?
That's massively impressive. Completely shuts down the push, cuts HONORIS away at the stem, and now Speed should be able to really just finish off this round. He's up close and personal with the MP9. There's the job. And 5-1 on the board. Things starting to really roll in Nemiga's favor. We actually do have the knife round played in all of these best of ones, Flakes. We didn't catch this one on the stream, unfortunately, but it does seem that Nemiga did win that one, starting on the CT side. Not always the most CT-sided map here, Inferno. I'd expect maybe 7-8 rounds out of any terrorist force, but HONORIS, they are quite a while away from any of those big numbers. And especially with the Glocks, should be able to cement their place onto 6. And this does start to get scary as well. Another convincing round on the board for Nemiga will mean that money has the opportunity to build up. I have to say, I've been massively impressed with their nade usage. We pointed it out last round towards Banana. This time it's the complete shutdown outside the A bomb site with only Box taken away. It's just a picture, Flakes. It catches me off every time.
I still can't believe you think he looks anything like him. Oh, boy. You know what surprises me? That they don't have a picture of Taz. Who doesn't have a picture of Taz in 2020?
I've got a picture of Taz on my bedroom wall.
It doesn't even surprise me. Taz, Neo are legends of the game. Everyone has pictures of Taz and Neo. It's surprising, to say the least. I tell you what, this game, though, it really is one of those games where you blink and all of a sudden you go, oh, it's 6-1.
Yeah, these first rounds have been incredibly quick. Nemiga doing
incredibly quick and incredibly one-sided. And the case in point, JO has just licked the stamp and sent it. Amazon next day delivery down Banana.
That was Amazon drone delivery. That's incredible stuff. 6-1 and, well, looking to bounce this scoreline to a 7th. Should be a complete shutdown through the middle of the map. And the man himself, Taz, the only man to find a frag thus far. With a minute left, really needs to do some damage here. Actually has a prime angle for the job. If JYO doesn't check this one, he also does drop. Playing this individually is kind of scary. Giving Taz a bit of an opportunity there, but missing the 3rd shot onto Box seals his fate as 7th round for Nemiga. This is a tactical pause, Flakes, for HONORIS.
Yeah, probably a good time to call it. It is 7-1. Not really had much going for them in this game so far, have they? I mean, they have a grand total of 11 kills between all 5 of them. In comparison, Box on his own has 13. So it really gives you an idea of how this game has gone so far, doesn't it? What makes it even scarier for me? Lollipop's on 2 kills. Lollipop for me is one of the strongest players on Nemiga. So if he's being quiet right now, if he's not really being that explosive force that we know he can be, I really am worried for HONORIS. This is the best of one. They can't afford to have any rounds where they're caught sleeping. And right now, Nemiga are able to send JO aggressive down Banana and get a triple kill. They're able to push mid. They're pretty much able to get full control here. It really hasn't been the most successful of T-sides for them at all.
No, when you actually break the rounds down individually, they've been incredibly one-sided. It's not just the scoreline that's been quite the bash to start off Inferno. It has been, as I said, those individual rounds, all of those real key players showing up. And, well, that's without, as you said, Lollipop, who for me, definitely one of the best players in the region. There might be an opportunity there with the smoke placed. The AWP is retrieved. And a secondary shot found, but lots more work to be done over towards this A side of the map. This is such a key position, though, for Lollipop. He's dug himself right into the apartments. I don't think HONORIS are going to be hyper aware of this one. And the flank, oh, it's coming through. MDS can hold away from Pit, and now it's only the AWP remaining. Does get spotted out, but the flick missed. Again, seals the deal. 8-1.
Suffice to say, not really much there to be complained about at all, is there, to be honest? If you are an Nemiga fan at this point, it is all going their way.
Well,
The
this is
orb
playing
even
for
strikes again.
Belarus, isn't it? And Nemiga are playing for Belarus.
Does work out when you put it that way. Also, it's on that topic. We're still at 17%. I need someone to help us out here. Help us get ourselves at least up to 18. I want to see 18%. That's my personal target now, is even to get just a single percent increase in this map. So if you do, of course, have any spare change, we'd appreciate your donation. We are, of course, all here to raise some money for the Play for Belarus Foundation today.
I've put the link in chat as well. It's for a good cause as well. If you're sat at home, you've got $10 in your PayPal account, you can chuck it all the way in. What a change of pace, though. 3 quick kills towards that A bomb site really cuts Nemiga completely away from the defense. And this AWP might actually go down here. A powerful position. I don't think Speedecker will actually check this angle, but JYO definitely does. And it might not give away the round, of course, but 8-1. They want to do as much damage as possible. That nade's going to solidify even more onto Neo. I think he can still save into that corner. We've seen the Dosia nade, but I've never seen a Dosia incendiary grenade.
Functions the same in theory. The challenge is just timing it right. Because you need to give it enough time to burn to really be able to do that damage. Though that said, it depends how much damage you need it to do. So it's a tough one.
I want to see somebody out there throw in the magical Dosia molly. So 8-2, and the scary factor for HONORIS is because of the lack of damage dealt in any of these previous prior rounds, it gives Nemiga a full buy here, still $7,500 in the bank accounts of both Speed and JYO, Lollipop 5k. This will be back-to-back buys still, and HONORIS now have to pull this T side through the hard way. They need to firmly take control of this half. I think win a couple in a row, even to think about forcing up an eco here. And remember, Nemiga just took a tactical timeout after losing only 1 round. So taking this one nice and seriously. We talked about the effect of those best of ones earlier in the broadcast, needing to play every single round like it's your last. HONORIS seems to be waking up, though. A couple of key shots hit in box. Now stuck away in this corner. Needs even more frags. Only finds the one for his troubles. Put JYO in a world of trouble before going down. And now MDS really has to make a move. Does he fall back? Does he fall away? Instead, right into the AK.
more to be done here, though. 3 rounds simply, it won't cut it. They're going to need at least 5 here, I think, in order to really make this a half they can fight with as we go forward into the second piece of this game. I think the Nemiga are going to be even more scary on that T side, to be quite frank. So I think they need a minimum of 5 for HONORIS here on their T side in order to be able to survive that. Especially if the pistol doesn't go their way. Really just conscious of what they're going to be able to dish out here. So hoping we can see a little bit more of that. Up to 4 is the goal for now. We have the weapons to do so. Let's see what the tactics will be. Oh, that's a close shot. Very close from Jo there. That could have well have been first blood for the CT side.
Those are incredibly key kills to nail as well, despite their difficulty. Getting a player up at this point, especially with your money totally broken, is incredibly impactful. Remember, this is HONORIS' time to actually try and break this by putting Nemiga onto either a force or a full save going into the next. Again, it's those nades beside the A bomb site doing a lot of that initial damage. Taz taken down to 72. Seems a little benign, but as they head into the B bomb site, it puts him in 1-tap range of these M4A4s. Remember, it is that AWP of Jo being the main pincer here. He'll take the swing, and missing the first shot forces them right into box. And behind this pillar, needs more than the 1 shot, and it's not going to happen. Fully smoking off speed. He will check this secondary angle, but Sam's got it completely under lock.
This is what we like to see, isn't it? We're starting to bring things back here. The picks coming their way. Especially given they've managed to crack the B site, which was their main issue, to be honest. It's where they were really getting beaten down. You have people at Jo really finding them early on. So this does actually bode quite well for HONORIS so far, but a lot more to be done here. This is just going to be their 4th round.
I think on the T side here, they've got to be realistically aiming for all 7. They lose a lot of players there in the afterplant, just forcing their way into that AWP, finding a lot of shots. And Nemiga, they're not really keeping the HONORIS economy too low. Lots of reinvestments needed, but it still keeps Sammy on over $7,000. Grutch has over 4,000. So we'll see back-to-back buys for HONORIS once again. And look at this shaky, sketchy investment from Nemiga going into round number 13. At the end of the half, their money is really touch and go. And Speed wanting to be the pincer here on A. They've still got Lollipop for support with the M4A4. As HONORIS seem to want to walk into the lion's share of rifles. With box down towards the bottom of Banana, that's a lot of map control. And expect to see JIO with that MP9 just holding away.
Slow and steady wins the race, though. That's what they say, isn't it? The tortoise versus the hare. HONORIS looking to build their way in step by step to the A site. They've taken a few losses in the meanwhile, but can they bring it back? That is the question. They set themselves up for 2 kills, but unfortunately for them, Speedek going to be the man that throws a wrench into the works. Neo should be able to get a bomb plant here, but much more? That's going to be the hard bit. I think that Molly might have just signed his death wish. The Molly and then the choice of where to plant. I don't like either of those things, unfortunately.
No, and that's such a scary thing to see from such a commonly, just a really intelligent player like Neo, making quite a key mistake. You kind of know that the rotate is coming through from the B bomb site, maybe even from Banana, especially with that aggressively placed smoke at the start from Nemiga. You really know that they've got Banana control from the very offset. That's the reason in the first place that HONORIS headed towards the A bomb site. Banana walking into the stack once again. The flashbangs are perfect, taking away 2 HONORIS members. Taz with a Molotov, only able to trade 1 back. Big advantage for Nemiga once again.
Good speed at go. He's a man on the prowl, isn't he? Just locked in, looking to do some damage with the AWP. See what he can find. There's the first. The second may well be lined up as well with a bomb on his back. That could be the cherry on top here. What are HONORIS looking to do? You've got one player pushing B, one player up on A. Finally, they look to regroup. You've got 55 seconds to get the job done. Neo, the man to lead the charge towards B. He's just looking for Jo, who's been a titan of this site so far, but they have been able to crack him multiple times now. That's what's got them to their 4th round. Let's see if they can do so again.
Ooh.
There's the answer. Neo, with a great headshot, opens up the site.
Unfortunately, they don't have any smoke in play to block off the CT spawn. Give Speed lots of information towards this B bomb site as that C4 goes away. And Neo will be challenged for even more frags on only 32 points of health. Instantly drops. Leaves it all down to Sammy's AWP. Needs more than just the one, of course. Needs to triple this up as the bomb still ticks. The smoke isn't really going to block too much off. That one definitely will. Forces him into the open, and that's so intelligent from MDS. Instantly nails that headshot. The AWP is ready to be retrieved. And it's finally double digits for Nemiga. A long time coming. A bit of a sketchy buy in between, but quite a confident round there from the Belarusian squad.
$11-4 now. Best case for Nemiga. One thing actually I'm kind of surprised by is that they've actually toned down the aggression, which I think might have been one of the key ingredients to their early success. I'm not sure what your thoughts are on that, Squid, but when they were willing to throw it down banana, willing to really look for those fights, that's where they got the rewards. And a good example of that actually is here from Speedek. He decides to get into apps, take the AWP into their faces and say, if you want it, come and get it, sort of thing. And it works out well. They get first blood and little to no response from this T side. The mid push shut down as well. Nemiga, they're making this one look easy. Only Roger and Rico remain.
I think it's off the back of HONORIS playing such a disjointed play. Right there you see Neo's just unable to trade that first frag that comes through. It leaves HONORIS again in a 2 versus 5 scenario with none of these crossfires breached as of now. Full banana control as well. This should be a sealed deal, a pretty easy 11th, all things considered. And I usually half favor HONORIS on their T side when they're dictating, just controlling this pace. Finally, a kill comes in, but oh, they do actually expect MDS towards the pit. Some lightning fast headshots to just leave the AWP isolated. Bomb now finally going down at the 20-second mark. And Rutcher's doing even more damage on one tap. And what a 2 versus 5 for HONORIS. It's that flair to pull them through in the final couple of rounds. And a couple of mistakes from Nemiga there inside the pits. Keeps them just on the 10. That is still a good enough half.
I think it's just enough, isn't it? It's what we talked about. Getting that 5th round is going to be critical to having something to fight with going through the second half. So we of course look to the pistol. I think that's going to be a key component as well. But it's not the end of the world if they don't find this now. They have a bit of freedom to play with.
This pistol round could easily put Nemiga over the top, though. Especially with this being your T side. Pretty heavy push towards B here. Just blocking off Neo with that smoke grenade. He's got the HE completely under guard. And, well, a quick bit of damage dealt to at least Lollipop forces them into the configuration where Raiko's going to take the swing. A perfect flash onto the first, but cannot connect with any shots. Allows the C4 to go down and away in a tough, tricky retake for the Poles.
Ooh, that's a tasty USB headshot as well from MDS, isn't it? Love to see that. At least just has last man standing. Unfortunately, not the greatest with the USP there.
And that's unfortunate for Honoris. You see the fairly flawless HE just diving in. It does a lot of damage onto Lollipop, but not really much done elsewhere. And then Raiko missing those first initial shots allows full control of that B bomb site for Nemiga. They instantly apply even further pressure, placing that C4 on the ground. And now they're just 5 away from victory. Whereas Honoris, they need 11 on their CT side. And with this force buy, that really puts them down to their last legs if they happen to lose this one. And with Nemiga already wrapping this full defense on the A bomb site, Box even finding a frag for his troubles, I don't think Honoris can actually hold up these angles, especially with all of the Deagles just falling to pieces. Taz is the only X factor from the apartments, and it might just be time to save this investment. Jeez Louise.
It doesn't really get much better than this, though, for Nemiga, does it? Yes, you've allowed Honoris to get to 5, but ultimately with a clean pistol and a second round to follow. Now it's 12 to 5, and it's still quite an easy place now for Nemiga to get to 13 as well. I mean, I pretty much would say it has to be a miracle, to be honest, for Honoris to really be able to really shout about anything here. So this should just be an easy 13th, and you're praying their gun round pays off at this point. You are absolutely praying.
Yeah, this is really just a fingers crossed situation. You see Nemiga just walking into the stack there and easily dispatching of the unarmored pistols. He's just Sammy versus 5, clutching at straws to deal even the littlest of damage. At the 70-second mark, bomb easily goes down, and this round is very, very over. MDS even clearing the corners. 13 to 5 on the board, and Nemiga already on the home straight in this best of 1. Might be the most one-sided of the day. These quarterfinals previously, they've gone very close, Flakes. We've seen a 16-14, an overtime, another 16-11. This is shaping up to be the only one-sided series if Honoris can't buck their ideas up getting into round number 19 and beyond.
This is the sort of type of a game where if you're an Honoris right now, you're basically saying, right lads, I'm going to throw everything at the wall and hope it sticks. It's pretty much all you can really do here. And how that translates to a CT side is very passive, just waiting for the jewels pretty much. You can see not a single aim jewel in sight here for the CT side. They are completely pushed back already, just waiting for this push to come through and then kind of hoping that those aim jewels connect. They did find a nice early pick, but then immediately traded. Rico under pressure here. Straight through the smoke Jo goes. A tad on the ballsy side, but the AWP will be there not only for 1, but a second as well. This does make things a little dicey for Nemiga. If they give Sammy opportunities, he'll certainly be able to take them. What makes things very interesting, though, is the position of Box. And also, Honoris' teammates. Where is Sammy's teammates exactly?
They are nowhere near. He now needs to radio in for the reinforcements, but I can't believe that that's
bit
not
late
already
for that.
been done. He goes
About 30
down
seconds
and
too late. I don't know. I understand that the conscious kind of decision there is probably, all right, we haven't seen the bomb yet, so they could be wrapping back to A. But he's still taking an aim jewel. I think it's very unlikely in a 2-on-2 that 2-on-3 even, that they try and split and take a 1-on-3 over on the A side. So more than likely, where one player is, the other will also be. A very ballsy decision, and that leads us here now. The retake kicking in. MDS already good for 1, then a flash leaves Grutcher blind. He will take down 1 for his troubles, and an AK misses, but eventually MDS will clean things back up again. That's a disaster for Honoris. So I really can't understand why those rotates are so late.
I really think that that just comes down to communication. I don't think that they're talking to each other properly. We saw a very disjointed T side with maybe a couple of entry packs here and there. It was actually when Honoris decided to really speed things up when they had most of their success there. And now maybe they just feel like this series is over. They've gone for a half buy, I guess, without body armor on any of these pistols. Should be a very easy clearance for Nemiga to get onto that 15-5 mark, with the Deepers finding only the 1 kill's worth of success, but being dispatched of incredibly easily. This game looks very overflakes. We actually did see a 15-5 earlier. Illuminar were ahead 15-5 and then managed to let it slip until the final round. They took it 16-14. Nemiga, I really can't see this happening. This has been a far more convincing showing. And HONORIS just haven't come to the table. This might be one of the quickest tournament appearances of all time.
Yeah, definitely. I think not boding well, is it? It's definitely one of the quicker best of ones we've seen today. You were just telling me actually before we jumped into this game that every game has been close today. It really has been with a close scorelines, but this is just not quite been there, has it, unfortunately?
HONORIS' favorite restaurant is In and Out. Oh. I really do just cringe when Neo misses shots like that. And now the 1 versus 1 might seal HONORIS' fate. Sammy's able to take it nevertheless to push them at least onto 6. But this is a very long road back. People in the chat are trying to spoil in creative ways. You're not going to get away with it. My phone number ends in 715. This is really, you're really pushing the boat out. Banned. They think that a bot is doing it. It's not. It's my intelligent brain.
That's actually quite creative, to be fair. I'm appreciative.
I'm shocked. When I saw it, I had to read it a couple of times. Did somebody in the Twitch chat just try and pull that off?
I respect the hustle, Twitch chat. You know what I'd respect even more, though? A little bit of cheeky support for the foundation of Play for Belarus, of course. That is what we're here today. It's 17%, folks. We've raised 51,535 zloty. 300,000 is the goal. I'd like to see even 51,536. Like, just even a single zloty would make my day. So, if anyone out there wants to help us support the cause,
maybe I should do it and see if it works.
Maybe they just haven't updated it and we're getting baited all along here. That could also be real.
It could just be a PNG.
Let me actually have a look at that. I'm actually now curious to see if that's the case.
I might pop a couple of zloty down to see if it moves.
It's 50. Yeah, no, it still shows as 51. 101 donations, I believe. It's in Polish, so you know, my Polish isn't the greatest, has to be said. But 25 contributors so far.
Okay. Very slow T-side here from Nemiga. Just looking for any mistakes from HONORIS. Not that they're making many. Just playing a very passive defense on this CT side, holding every single angle. And no real map control towards the B bomb site either. Just playing this crossfire between Raiko and Neo. Waiting for that flashbang to come over the top. They've only got the 2 flashes to hold this attack away with 15 seconds left.
Couple nice aggressive pushes coming through. In the end, it goes 2 for 2. It's Taz and Rico both trying to step up to the plate here. Lollipop gets aggressive, though. Takes the peek from the top of the box. And just like top of the pops, he comes out ahead with a grand prize. 2 on 2. More to be found. Taz expecting the push. So he's read him like a book. Taz showing he's still got that real sort of brain smarts to him. Unfortunately, just the firepower not quite there. The push comes through, though. Grutcher will be there to find Lollipop, so now it is just Jo, last man standing. Lands the first with the AWP, spots out Taz as well, and that's job done.
Isn't it painful? What a way to lose in the 1 versus 2 there. HONORIS, they cannot carry it through. And we've found all of our semi-finalists at this point. Saw versus Nemiga. That's our second semi-final. But first, we've actually got a really interesting matchup. Sprite versus Illuminar. That'll be our next match coming up now.